and welcome to Gettable, afl.com.au's home of trade, draft, free agency and contract news. We are here thanks to Google. We love our mates over at Google. They are bringing us all the way through the season. I'm Riley Beveridge. This is Cal Twomey. Cal, we're standing up. We love standing up. We've got plenty of stuff to get through today. We're going to take a look at Hawthorn. We've got Askables coming back right here, right now. We're introducing a new segment. But let's start off with our cover story.
Of course, the cover story this week has to be Oscar Allen Riley. Here he is. Oscar Allen, will the West Coast captain fall under Hawthorn's spell? Love that cover. Ed, white and blue, that's coming up. Why Dogs free agent wants to stay. Super Cooper fires as the number one pick candidate star. And why the Bombers could be in for a bonus as well. So that's coming up. But a lot of the discussion clearly is what Oscar Allen is doing and what he's going to do at the end of this season, which brings us to a new segment, Riley. It's called The Vision. Now, let's bring it up. Woo! There it is. Now, The Vision goes deep into what clubs are selling to players to keep them and also to go and get them. This is the type of stuff that we see clubs do for prospects and potential targets. It's where they put their names up on the board and say, this is what the team looks like in 3 years and we want you to be a part of it, whether that's to stay or to come to our footy club. And we're going to go deep on what Hawthorn's doing and also just on their whole recruiting over the past few years, how they've got to be the point back at premiership contention again. So let's go to the Hawks lineup that we look at in 2028.
Oh, so there is the man, Oscar Allen. He is there at centre-half forward. The rest of it as is, though, and they've done a lot of work on this list to get to this point. We've seen over the last couple of years with Tom Barrass and Josh Battle. They did that last year in terms of their big recruiting drive, but this has been a formulated plan for them for quite some time, and Oscar Allen's the man at the centre of it.
Yeah, he is. And he had a coffee with Sam Mitchell this week, and that's been the big discussion. And he has that massive decision to make. Stay at West Coast or go to Hawthorn or Brisbane. Both of those clubs have offered long-term deals to Allen, and they're longer than the Eagles' current offer. He's clearly weighing this up heavily, and to meet with a rival coach shows that. Brisbane made the early running and got in first. They spoke to him last year, is my understanding. But Hawthorn came in red hot and is making every move a calculated one and making every move count at the moment. So that's the decision-making process that he has to go through as he weighs up what he does. And the other thing for this part as well is, does it serve both parties, for West Coast and Oscar Allen, to search for another opportunity elsewhere, given the compensation pick that will come into it. But the Hawks have done this for a long time now, and this is part of the reason that they're back at the top of the ladder. Let's look at their rival recruits over the past few years as well, and the players that have been in their squad over the past few weeks.
There's 10 of them.
They had 10 in the opening game, round one. Opening round against the Swans. Carl Amon, Tom Barrass, Battle we spoke about. Marbior Child, Massimo D'Ambrosio, Sam Frost, Ginnivan, Impey, Meek and Scrimshaw. A lot of these players, and this will be part of the pitch too, have gotten better since joining Hawthorn.
Well, they only gave up a first rounder for Tom Barrass in amongst that. It's the only player they traded a first rounder for. The rest of them all cut price deals.
Massimo D'Ambrosio, a much better player. Ginnivan's a better player. Meek's a better player. Scrimshaw's a better player, although it was an early pick to begin with. And Marbior Child clearly has been that. You speak about the first round picks. You have to get and take a lot of shots to make a lot of draftees. So Will Day at number 13 in 2019 is their next captain, superstar selection. Denver Granger Barrass is the only bust in this group. Ward, McKenzie. Mackenzie's showing a lot of good stuff at the moment. Weddle, we know the wizard and how good he's going to be, and already is. And Will McCabe was a first rounder as a father-son. So if you take as many shots as they took during their rebuild, you have to have a lot of shots to make a lot of shots.
And the other thing with this is 5 years of sustained recruiting purely through the draft. 2024, they obviously didn't have the first round pick because they went out and got Tom Barrass. They targeted Josh Battle as a big money free agent. So 5 years of sustained recruiting, then they transition to that next part of their rebuild, or less regeneration, which is going to the draft, going to trade and free agency and getting those two key pillars down back for them last year.
You do need some luck though, but you also need some strategy, you also need some luck. I'm keen to look at some of the magic that they've done throughout this build as well. Let's call it list magic. Finding John Newcombe was a master stroke, and that was because Sam Mitchell was the VFL coach at Box Hill. They got him through a targeted plan where he put a price on his head. They changed the rule to get John Newcombe. The rules changed after that. The Weddle move was a fantastic one as well, to double up, to trade up the board, to go and get Josh Weddle as other clubs let him slip through that 2022 draft. Securing the win builders. They needed their guys.
You're big on the win builders.
Yeah, well, it's massive for what they did. At the end of 2023, they got guys in the door that were going to help them immediately win some games. Chol, Ginnivan, Gunston came back, and then it put them in the position to go hard for Barrass and say we're a bit closer than we were a year ago. Battle as well, and they were in the mix for Harry Perryman as well last season. The Carl. I mean, the cull was huge in that regeneration, as we know. And trade sliding doors. This happens all the time. If they'd got Sava Ratugolea and Ben Mackay, who they ran second at the end of that season, 2023, then they wouldn't have been getting Battle and Barras.
And let's not forget, the win builders, because of the reasons why they missed out on Mackay and Ratugolea, they went and got the win builders. That made them the attractive proposition. So where 12 months earlier, Mackay and Ratugolea were saying no, all of a sudden Battle and Barras were desperate to get there. That's what the win builders did.
And how are they doing it? Well, let's look at the sell. And a lot of it has to do with the Mitch pitch. He's a big part of this. Sam Mitchell and wife Lyndall as well travelled over to Perth and was a big part in the Josh Battle pitch as well. They've got a coach who is so into it. He's a seller. And there's that old music saying, if you can get him to dance, you've got a chance. He's making players dance. He's always in front of them. He's got the sell in the room. He's doing the pitch and making a huge part of it. So they're throwing everything at it. And he's a coach who wants his fingerprints on it and he's good at it. The family club is working as well. Flags, most successful club of the last 45, 50 years. Player improvement, as we spoke about. Manager meetings. This is a footy club that throughout Sam Mitchell's time at the Hawks in returning as senior coach, they've been really big on going out to the managers, showing the vision, showing the people who are making their decisions for their players that this is where we want to be. So that's been a process over 3 years that they've done. Some clubs do that. They always do it. The MCG blockbusters help. Dingley is coming along as well. And the other bit, picks 3, 21, future one and future one, they're getting deals done.
So top of the ladder, and they've got pick 3 at the moment as well.
They're showing that they can get deals done. So recruiting is not just about finding good players and making them fit. They're finding the guys who can add to the group they've already got, and I think that's important in what they're doing.
One thing that's beneficial to the sell as well is when they're playing the type of footy they are, that fast, attractive, free-flowing footy club. Players would love going to a club that plays that type of way. So they're doing very well, doing a lot of things good, Hawthorn.
Well, go back to the vision as well that we spoke about earlier, and the vision board. If this is 2028, this does not include at the moment Josh Ward, Carl Amon, James Warple, Connor Nash, Finn McGuinness, Sam Butler, Shankle Giath, Will McCabe, first rounder, and if they hold this year's pick as well.
A lot of depth.
So that's a lot of depth that they're bringing through as well. It puts them in a strong position. I'm interested in what they do with James Warple. Talks haven't started there, and don't think anyone's in a bit of a rush for that one, as they weren't the last time. So I wonder if another club would come to them. Would they be comfortable letting a midfielder like him go?
Free agent.
Yeah, as a free agent and getting in a pick for him. Of course, the Harley Trace is the big one too, and how deep they can go into that one. All clubs are going to think that's potentially live this year until Harley Reid either signs or says, I'm staying on in 2026. They're going to pursue it, and the Hawks are at the front of that queue.
He'd look good in that midfield as well. The other thing they've done, as you can see here, so that's when they're contracted to, each player is, they've only got 4 players on relatively long-term contracts. So there's only 4 in amongst this group signed beyond 2028. They are Tom Barras, obviously, till 2028, Blake Hardwick and Con Nash until 2029, and then Josh Battle until 2030. So they leave themselves with a lot of flexibility as well.
That's right, absolutely. And the 3 big ones that I'm looking for in terms of contract extensions coming up next, because they've got their main guys done as well. Massimo D'Ambrosio will happen this year. It's just about finding that value for him, as will Lloyd Meek. He's going to stay there. But I look at the guys like Giant Newcomb, Dylan Moore, who I think would probably be keen to extend this year as a free agent heading into next year. The Wizard is out of contract next year. I think he's in his 4th year. He could be $1 million player, which is outstanding and amazing for a small forward. And Will Day is the massive one as well. Clubs came super hard for him last time. Adelaide being one of them. They threw one of these monster deals at him. They'll come again, as will Tasmania and other clubs when he's a free agent in 27. But the Hawks are going pretty well.
That's been the vision, Kel. We love the vision. Ooh, there we go. The vision. All right, plenty more still to come on Gettable. Stick around.
Hey, it's Jack Goodman and you're watching Gettable with Twomey and Riley Beveridge.
Oh, I like that. The vision, Cal. Plenty more where that came from, I reckon, in season 2025. All right, that was one of our new segments. Let's get to an old favourite right here, right now.
Right here, right now.
There it is, right here, right now. Let's go straight to it. Right here, right now, Ed Richards is firming to be one of the next free agents to take his name off the free agents list and be one of the next big name re-signings in the competition. Richards and the Western Bulldogs are in talks on a new long-term deal. Richards wants to stay. Other clubs know that as well, and I think there is some momentum behind him being one of the next big free agents to commit. So, given his age and ability and quality,
he's been unbelievable to start the year, hasn't he?
The expectation is that would be a 5 or 6 year extension. So, Ed, white and blue.
Ed, white and blue. I like it from you, Cal. He's going to be an absolute star. Right here, right now, it's going to be a big couple of weeks in Adelaide. So as we reported last week on afl.com.au, St Kilda is preparing to go to Adelaide for the next 2 weeks. They take on the Power at the Adelaide Oval this weekend. Then they play in Gather Round. They'll spend 2 weeks in Adelaide. I reckon that means it's war on Nasiah Wanganeen-Miller in terms of Adelaide and Port Adelaide, trying to get him across the line over the next couple of weeks. He's been fantastic to start the year. We've spoken about his value. It's going to be $1 million plus over the next few seasons. So I think Adelaide and Port Adelaide are going to be hunting him hard over the next couple of weeks and trying to get his signature over the line, trying to win a commitment from him over the next couple of weeks. Of course, out of contract at the Saints over at the end of the season.
Right here, right now, the next 2 weeks will strongly shape which way Melbourne should look ahead to its end of season plans for 2025. So 0-3 to start this season. Geelong on Friday night, then Essendon in Gather Round. I think if the D's go 0-5, it'll become clear that if Christian Petrarca can find a club that's keen for him, and he's still got reservations about remaining at Melbourne, that it could be a good result for all parties to see him go to another club. And that might be a good outcome for all and beneficial to all, given his trade value is still existent. He's still playing good footy. It just looks like a tired team to me at Melbourne, particularly without the pace, which Windsor, McVee, Pickett will be back this week, which is important. Cozzy Pickett, we know, will chase a departure again. The D's have rebuilt on the run over the past couple of years really well. 2 first rounders in 23, 2 first rounders in 24. Pickett and Petrarca are probably both worth 3+ first rounders in terms of the overall package. So I think the next couple of weeks will be a good steer in terms of where the Demons are at.
Do their value go down? Does Christian Petrarca's value go down from a trade perspective from back end of last year?
Don't know what his value was last year.
Yeah, I know.
There's a limited amount of clubs that I think can and would go for it, given his age and what it would cost. But I think you'd have to have the discussion this year.
All right here, right now, the AFL should be allowing clubs to get creative with contracts, I think. And I think Harley Reid's the perfect example of this. There's been so much attention on his deal, still contracted till 2026. West Coast should be able to say, how about we give you a 5-year deal, but it's got a release clause in there. If a club comes to you over the course of that 5-year deal and offers up 2 first-round picks and one of them's a top 5 pick, you're allowed to leave. And that's in the deal. That's actually written into the contract, a release clause. Release clauses are in contracts in other sports all across the world. I think it should be something that becomes into the AFL over the next couple of years, where there are get-out clauses for players. Players can leave midway through a contract if a certain criteria is hit.
What's the criteria for leaving? Like, why would a club agree to let a player include a clause to get out?
Well, I think because at the moment, so you see last year, for example, when Bailey Smith goes to Geelong, they get, pick 17 for him, when the Western Bulldogs clearly thought he was worth more.
Yeah.
I think if there's a clause in there saying you're allowed to leave, but only if we get a top 10 pick back.
Yeah, okay.
It just offers a bit more protection for the clubs that are losing.
So it's in the
players,
trade negotiation.
Yes.
All right here, right now, Essendon has 2 more young guns coming through and a big draft bonus coming their way. Forget about Wacko for Kako. I'm done. I'm done with it.
The Kako Clubbers are out.
They're done. I'm over it. I'm hustling for Huss. It's the hustler. Hussein El Akar kicked 4 goals from 15 disposals against Oakley on the weekend. I was there. He was terrific. He had a bit of Isaac Rankin stuff about some of the things he was doing here. Number 2, here it is. Look at the snap on the left foot there. He knows where the goals are. He does this regularly. He did it last year. He's tied to Essendon's NGA. There's one on the right foot, using that win beautifully. A little bit of a celebration as well to the non-existent crowd. But he was terrific, and also was Adam Swade, who's the blue suede shoes without the blue. He's also tied to the Bombers, both members of the Calder Cannons unit, and both players have spent time with the Bombers. More recently, Hussein, who has spent time actually training with the Bombers in recent weeks. They both look very handy.
Draft standing as things stand?
Hard to say. I would say Hussein's a chance for that sort of top 20-ish, and Adam Swade's a little bit further back at this point, but Swade coming off an ACL, so 2 boosts coming for the Bombers on that front.
Very exciting.
Just on that, the Coates Talent League rejoined the footy frontier on the weekend in the first round of games. Keen to get through some highlights. Super Cooper, Duff Titler.
What a start to this game.
Super Cooper, Fragilistic, Expiella, Duff Titler. Do people still use that? Started the year with a bang, kicked a goal out of the centre square. That was a great goal as well on the run. Performed like a number 1 contender as well. 26 disposals, 8 clearances, 2 goals, 14 hit-outs. his mobility around the ground is next level, and he won the battle with Louis Emmett in the ruck as well, who's a very good player too and very good prospect who did strike back. Willem Dersma playing in the midfield. Dersma had 36 disposals, 10 marks, 5 clearances, kicked 1 goal, 3. If he plays at that level in the midfield, this year he'll be the number 1 pick. He can be that guy. So speed, agility, run, marking, versatility. His family call him Lemmer. His friends call him Lemmer. Maybe we should start calling him Lemmer as well. But Willem Dersma is definitely right in that mix.
Thoughts on the headband?
Love it.
I love it.
Josh Lindsay, a top 15 contender, one of the best kicks in it, had 27 disposals and 7 clearances for the Geelong Falcons. He will play well nearly every single week. Look at some of his kicking here as well, Riley. He just uses the ball so well, so smartly in traffic, and is precise with it. So you want him to be with the ball when you're making a lead. I'm sure that is the case. Look at this one here, out into the wing. Doesn't miss a beat. So there's Josh Lindsay. Riley only has plenty of tools, this guy as well. 195 centimetre plus midfielder. Looks magnificent when he has the ball in his hands and is right into your games. He was that way on the weekend, did it easy with 28 disposals, 7 clearances and a goal. Murray Bushrangers prospect, who will be vying to be one of the first midfielders drafted from Victoria. So keep an eye on Riley. Only big goal there for the Bushies over the weekend. Tommy Maguire, I watched this game as well. A father-son prospect from Collingwood, obviously. Had 28 disposals for the Western Jets. He's a smart player, left foot kick, really crafty with the ball as well. He's going to knock up getting a lot of touches throughout this year. I have him around sort of that 20 to 25 range of the draft to start the season. And Rory Wright, he was a bit of a surprise packer for me over the weekend as well. I liked him. Hadn't watched him too closely before this game, but picked up 19 disposals for the Essendon Dragons. Looked the bit as a midfielder, 184 centimetre midfielder there on the left foot. Did a lot of good work around the stoppages for the Essendon Dragons, pretty penetrating with his kicking. So a few highlights there out of the Coast Talent League, and more to come from around the country in coming weeks. Super Cooper Fragilistic, XB Duff Titler.
Like it. Lemmer, the right stuff. A lot of nice prospects this year. Is it shaping up as a 2024 style pool in the sense that there's no real clear number 1 as things stand?
At this point, yeah. I don't think it has as much depth at the very top end that is open pool, but number 1 is up for grabs, absolutely.
All right, let's get to Askable.
Bang. Where are we? There
we go. There is Askable. Askable is where you can get in touch with us on our Instagram account at Gettable. Find us there. You can ask us your trade and draft questions. That is what Jordan has done. He wants to know, will Port Adelaide consider letting Zach Butters go this year? You mentioned it a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, I said last week that some clubs thought this was live this year, but that I just didn't see it pushing for it this year, or the power letting it through. I remain absolutely of that view. It's not a Dan Houston type of situation on a lot of fronts. So Geelong and the Western Bulldogs are the 2 clubs that will go absolutely hard for him as well, as we said last week on the show. And they have always been linked to Butters, given geographical reasons and where he came from.
Western suburbs boy.
I'm sure the Hawks will be having a crack. Dingley's a long way from Darley, but I don't see why or how Port Adelaide would let him go this year. I just particularly with Josh Carr heading into his first season, Butters is clearly their best player. I don't think you'd do that heading into your first year, given that the discussion can happen next year anyway. Yeah.
Nick wants to know, how does Essendon's draft strategy fit in with the players they are also targeting?
Well, the players they're looking at amongst them, Rail's 24 this year, Harley Reid's 19. Zach Butters, who spoke about last week with the Bombers, is 25. So age is important.
Yeah.
Holding on to picks at the moment, 2, 5, 23 and 30, that'll change clearly. There's a fine balance, but I'd be paying up for Reid. And if Zach Butters says, I want to come, you make that happen clearly. But they also need some more quality in their mid-20s group too. So they've got some young players, and that's a part of the build. But Hawthorn's shown that which we spoke about, if you get some players, you start to attract more. It's a bit of a flow-on effect.
And they've also shown us the value of when you nail that core from the draft. Hawthorn took 7 picks over 5 years, 7 first-round picks. That's what Essendon did between 2020 and 2024 as well.
Yeah, so, a few more question marks on their group.
Exactly. All right, JMass, when is the restricted and unrestricted bannings being confirmed? It was late March last year.
Yeah, in the next few days. I expect that to come through. Could be as few as 7 restricted free agents by the time that comes out. So now that Kane Farrell is signed on, which we spoke about on last week's show. So TDK, LDU, Starcevic, Oscar Allen, Richards, Draper, Warple, I think.
And Richards about to get taken off that list, do you reckon?
I think it's closing.
All right, Lou wants to know which of the players waiting to start contract talks could be gettable.
Callum Brown at GWS, he's waiting till mid-year.
Yep.
to think about his contract call, and then he got dropped last week once the big dogs come back for the Giants. So I think that's going to be his story throughout this year, isn't it? Marcus Windhager is taking his time, but I think in the end we'll re-sign and recommit at the St Kilda Footy Club. Wayne Miller is also in no rush at Adelaide as a free agent, but I expect him most likely to stay. Another one who hasn't signed yet but will do is Jace Burgoyne. Port has been in discussions on a new deal there and has offered a new contract for Burgoyne as well for multiple years. So I expect him to remain at Albany. Key player, clearly going to be keen to re-sign him at Albany as a star in the making.
He's been fantastic the last 18 months or so. Archie wants to know, is Chad Warner still expected to stay at the Swans?
That's still my expectation. Yep. He's going to take his time. It did say he's in no rush, but that it was trending the way of his 2-year deal at the Swans. Still going through his process, and that process includes, of course, considering West Coast and Fremantle. If he's not signed in the next 6 weeks or so by around that middle stage of the season, then I think that's when the warning signs will be that he's probably changed his feeling about where it all sits. But that's my expectation at the moment.
Is he going to do the reverse Dan Houston and say all year that he's thinking about leaving and then stay?
He's pretty comfortable saying he's thinking about leaving, isn't he?
He definitely is. John wants to know what is going on with the Bonds deal. He's, of course, a free agent for the second time.
Yes, times 2. It's a weird one, isn't it?
I think
it's a bit different, and I think other clubs do see it that way as well. Clubs have asked the question about him, as they should and would. I don't think anyone at this point thinks he's leaving, but it also is sort of a bit strange to have your captain, who's a champion of your footy club, probably your best player ever, still unsigned, as you know, the likes of Sam Darcy's signed on, Tom Liberatore is about to sign on, Ed Richards is in talks to sign on. So is he waiting to see what happens at the Dogs in terms of their finals push? Is he waiting to see what happens with Luke Beveridge as the coach? Is he waiting to see how much money's left in the cap? Deciding on how many years he wants to spend there? Is it shorter or longer term? Waiting to see if it's started the season well? Is it waiting to start playing again after his injury? He was waiting before he got hurt, but he was waiting anyway. So look, if he's champ, he'll play it his own way, but I think some clubs see it as a bit of a unique one.
He's not going to leave, is he?
You would think not. Surely not.
Surely. Brandon wants to know, will Kalani White pick the D's or the Suns? Father-son at Melbourne, Jeff White's son, academy prospect at Gold Coast. What does he do, Kel?
I have the D's ahead at the moment. The Suns have a lot of other academy players as well coming through. Kalani will be looking to impact games a little bit more throughout this season. Obviously played for Gold Coast Academy v the Lions in a practice game over the weekend. Has some raw stuff to his game, and particularly his leap, but we'll need to keep improving his impact on games to get into that sort of top 25 mix.
Yeah. All right. Love the show today, Cal. One more Askable from me off the cuff for you. When they're doing the pitch, when they're doing the vision Hawthorn to Oscar Allen, showing the 2028 side, are they a premiership team by 2028?
Yes.
Looks very exciting at the moment to be a Hawk, doesn't it, Cal? All right, plenty more still to come on afl.com.au. Check out Inside Trading. That's all the latest contract news. That'll be on the website later tonight, and we will see you same time, same place next week for Gettable.